Hello. Got some noise coming through. If that's the case, I'll turn the fan down a touch. Hopefully that isn't too bad. See if I can't. Okay. Honestly, the gate should be taking care of it. I don't know why it isn't. There we go. Something like that. All right. Anyway, we are doing some more anime time. Because that's what I feel like doing. Bring that back up. There. So we got the first part done. So now we're moving on to the next part, which I need to do the breakdown frame of. I think I'm just going to put in the middle, unless it's on thirds. I don't think it is. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. So. Oh, it is on thirds. Oh, great. Awesome. That's cool. I always do this to myself. Let's go and see what this frame is looking like. Let me just... It's more or less correct. So it's going to be kind of important that we get this spacing correct. And that actually kind of isn't, so we're going to have to kind of do it by hand. That's alright though. I'm actually going to turn you on, have you just kind of there. Okay, that ain't right. But the good thing is I should be able to just kind of... Yeah. And then... Okay. That should do it. Hmm. Part of me wants to kind of push this. Yeah. There's a really good chance I'll have to forego the lines on his horn. It just adds a lot of line mileage. Hey, what's up, Trippy? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Apparently, according to YouTube, you are my #1 fan. Apparently, they rolled out some new system. Hope you're doing well there, man. something like that. Alright, so typically breakdown frames take a bit of time. I took a little bit of a look at it. I haven't had a chance to really look over it thoroughly. But I did receive it. It definitely seemed curious, that's for sure. Let's kind of shrink this down a touch. I've typed scientific calculator. I haven't been so convinced yet myself. Though I do believe that there will be, hopefully, something to come out of it that's ultimately good. I mean, at the end of the day, if for no other reason than just massive data processing. That does have its value. I just feel like a lot of the pursuits, if you will, have been kind of off the mark. We need to bring this up more. Me. Okay, that should do it. I also need to. It's kind of kissing that line there. Let's see if we can. That's actually not a bad place for it, because Not the corner of the room. Nice. Honestly, I've gotten really into the habit of anytime like I'm hanging out with people or like playing games, watching stuff, and all that. Like it's funny to think that when I was younger, like I would do all that stuff just like at my desk chair, which desk chairs aren't the most comfortable things in the world a lot of times. I mean, some of them are, but a lot of times not really. And even the comfy ones, it's still like a desk chair, It's not a couch. And now I just like have everything wired up so I can basically do everything from my couch. It's like, heck yeah, I'm gonna choose that versus my desk chair. $40 Craigslist stoner code. Honestly, if it's good enough for a stoner, then it's good enough for me. Probably. I like my couch. The only thing I'm not like crazy about as far as my couch goes is we're actually gonna move this way. This. Something like that. It's kind of like each seat is like a designated spot, and it's contoured, and so laying on it sideways, it's a little lumpy bumpy. It's still comfortable enough to like sleep on, like take a nap on or whatever, but like, as far as like ideal, it could be a little better. My like dream couch would be, I have a couch behind me. So technically I have two couches, but this one's more like an armchair thing. It's a little it's slightly wider than an armchair, but not as big as a love seat. So it's like just a really big couch, or a big chair, basically, is the best way to describe it. And it's great because it's super flat, has really low like soft armrests, which are great, right? And is a really nice like velvet. Cause I'm not a big like leather couch guy. I don't find leather all that comfortable unless like if it's a coat or something like that, then fair enough, right? It's really good at like protecting you from the elements and all that. But like I want to be on something like soft and nice. If I'm sitting on a couch, right? Thankfully, my main couch isn't leather. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the leather couches. And then eventually, like, the leather cracks and it just gets gnarly. Oh, especially, like, the pleather. The fake leather stuff. Is that as... yeah, that should do. I may need to... I was going to house parties in my youth, broken and sunken camp. Yeah. What am I animating? I'm animating this little guy, Wicker. And, is this the full? Yeah, it is the full scope. And just kind of really trying to push the acting a little bit. And so there's little things I want to do, but like for now, I'm just getting this movement out of the way. After this, there will be another little scene that I need to animate of him being spooked by a box. He's looking at a box on the ground, and when he jumps, the box kind of like springs up all of a sudden. So, trying to get his movements down because he's kind of funny the way he moves. He's got like, you know, obviously the hooves and stuff like that, but I wanted to give him kind of the feel and the appearance of like kind of a puppeted kind of character. I also realized the rings around his legs are a little bigger here, and I actually like them more like that. Thank you. Actually, I do really like how it's coming along for the most part. I honestly, I could stand to maybe move like this arm down a touch probably, and maybe this one as well, because right now it's a little more linear than I would like. So I want to really emphasize that arc that he has going there, but we'll see. I'm actually gonna raise this foot up higher because the leg is about that long or so. Yeah, I'm gonna try. I was talking about this last stream. I'm gonna be trying a fun technique. Or I'm gonna try to do a pseudo Xerox effect, and of course, this Xerox referring to an old technique to get by not having the means to do cleanup, because I don't feel like doing cleanup, which is ironic because I've only ever been a cleanup artist professionally. What was I saying? That's right, and basically all it is processing the line work to be just black and white, not, you know, gray tone kind of pencil-y, because that's essentially what Xeroxing an image does, right? Is it takes the it basically maps it to a hard black and white line, right? Old school inking machines, or Xerox machines, were basically just like inking based on the light pass-through, I think it was. I'm actually not entirely sure how that tech works. I know conceptually how it works, but not the ins and outs of it. I also can Googling it. See, that's the thing, that's the way I kind of look at AI, is it's like, we're kind of just reinventing things we already have, you know? I mean, there are, like I said, there are some things that it buys, right, in terms of like data management and processing and all that kind of stuff, but like, I don't know. I guess I'd rather just learn how to use a tool rather than pretend not to be using one at all. But that's just me. Do I use AI? No, not really. Yeah, I'm not really scared of AI. I just don't like tools I can't... Like, I don't like tools that try to obscure themselves, if that makes sense, right? And that's kind of the whole point of all this, like, large language model stuff, is like... like, the whole premise behind it is, oh, it's not a tool, right? You're talking to it, right? Kind of thing. It's like, okay, but the problem is that it's trying to do everything, and so what happens when those wires get crossed? And I've seen those wires get crossed a lot. And the question you have to ask yourself eventually is, what happens when a wire gets crossed and you don't realize it, right? How do you, what's the kind of litmus test that you have for it, right? It's kind of interesting to think that the imitation game now has become less about how well does a machine emulate a human, and more how do you check the machine itself, because you know it's a machine, right? And so, you know, you wind up having to do your own research anyway. This is a cool song. Who is this? Robot 2037, and hexadecimal. Hex code. Shoot, dang it. I think I already have Robot 2037 written down. Let me just double check. Freaking notebook. Oh my gosh. Freaking hate notebooks sometimes. First edition communicate mechanically with human user. What the frick is this thing doing? Where are you? Chips. Yeah, Robot 2037 is already written down. So. Yeah, I'm still of the mind that the true power of a computer is locked away in the bare metal more than anything. We create these abstractions that do, like, fundamentally help to extrapolate into, like, deeper spaces of, like, computer science and things like that. Apparently is there, Guilty. But eventually, like, I think we can get ourselves into a position where we're trying to use abstraction to solve basic issues. When it's like, no, the computer is good at those basic things. Let a computer be a computer. It's kind of like, it's why, like, I, like, fundamentally, it's the basis for why I don't fear, like, AI tools and stuff like that as far as, like, art goes, like AI art tools and whatnot. Because those tools will not be good until they are like actual tools, until they are like actual artistic tools. And my thing I point to prove that is digital tools. Until digital tools could actually act like physical tools, they really weren't very good. we had to change how we thought about processing digital art in order to allow actual artistic nuance to come through. It's one of those things where the more you try to make a shortcut for yourself, the more of a hassle you make it, essentially, and it winds up being counterintuitive. You more or less guilty. This almost looks a little too big. Adjust that. Probably adjust it on this side as well. This is Fear of Dark. Suburban Supernatural. Like that. So this is what I was talking about earlier. So notice how the arm shifts down, kind of down, but more like sideways here. I don't like that. I don't really want that. So I'm actually going to change this arm to go down a bit more. Actually, it might be best if I did it more like this. And I am missing a frame here, so that's not 100%. Stretch it around. Definitely shouldn't go up there. This definitely needs to be adjusted. Try this again. Doing stuff like this is kind of a band-aid approach. It's not ideal. Ideal would be to just redraw the hand. Although, if I then take the hand and move that down as well. I think that should work. One, two, three, 4. Technically, it's only 4. We can do that. One, two, 3, 4. Technically, this would there would be a back to this, which I kind of like the idea of. Actually, that reminds me. Oh yeah, he has it goes down. So I probably should be putting in a little like cape layer on the back. Just in general. That makes no sense. That's not right. And this makes no sense. And honestly, this doesn't make any sense. Thankfully, like, most of the time, he keeps his arm kind of close to his body, so... But there's a couple instances where that isn't the case. Bias this way. So I do like that little cape thing. Technically you would see it here. You wouldn't see it here though. You'd see it here though. And here. Okay, let me beginning. This actually would indicate more that it goes up, but that's alright. I was really rough here. Honestly, I probably should be more rough. I'm like being super like precise. And I need to be rougher. That's alright because it's flipped up. That you wouldn't see the end of. Neither would you see that. I'm gonna say there though. There we go. And then his arms are so close that you don't see the other side of it the whole time. I'm actually gonna straighten this line because the wraps actually don't go like around his fingers. If they went around his fingers, I'd be more inclined to keep it like contoured like that, but it goes just over. It's just like they're literally wrapped around his hand. He's not like gonna be punching people. Because technically, like, he's not like a mummy, but like principally, like, he kind of is. That ain't right. You know, my problem is I can't animate, like, half-handedly. Like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna, like, do it to the best of my ability. The problem is that takes time. I need to be, like, less critical of my movement for certain projects, which I have. Like, when I was doing the blanking, like, that's how I animated, because I had to get like a shot done a day, right? Like, I had to just crank out a shot every single day, and so like the animation was almost purely like functional, right? And there were a couple shots where I like was like, okay, I'm actually gonna like spend some time making this look good, you know, because this is, you can't just crank this out in a day, right? At least I couldn't. But it had to be effective still. And I was able to kind of like be more like conscientious of my effort. For example, this frame has taken me an hour to do. Should it? Maybe? Doggone. I can't do that for everything. Because let's say it was an hour per frame, like, here on out. Well, that's another hour when I do this frame. We have all of these frames to do. 4, 5. So that's another 5 frames. So that's another 5 hours right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then another 5 hours just to get to this point. So yeah, I have another 11 hours frames to do if every single one takes an hour to do. Yeah, I really do. But the problem is, like, I can't just like half hand these frames now, right? Like, I gotta like see this through. I'll try to speed it up. The thing about it is this was a breakdown frame, so like I was paying particular attention to the movement. So this next frame, hopefully, should go a little faster. I mean, truth be told, like, that's just the way animation goes. I mean, there's, like, movies where people work on, like, over the course of, like, 3-4 years, they work on, like, 5 whole scenes, right? Maybe do a whole minute of animation in that time, right? For a film. And they're one animator out of, like, 50 plus, right? Give up and go spend 5 hours at the bar. Nah. I'm not a bar guy. Bars have, like, very little to offer me. It's kind of funny. Let's double check. Yeah, more or less. Yeah, it's about right. The nice thing is, when just in-betweening like this, I pretty much can ignore my concept sketches and just in between. I mean, the way that I'm doing it especially, like there are faster methods to animate, like, 3D animation does tend to have a quicker turnaround once all of your, like, components are in place, right? Like, even, like, fairly complex stuff can be pretty quick to achieve. The reason I like 2D, though, is because there's a certain freedom within the movement, I find. There's these subtle little nuances that come out of doing it frame by frame that just add to the element. Like, it just has this quality that I really like. There's a nuance to it that's I wouldn't say, it's not like it's lost in 3D, because it's not what it's trying to achieve. This is more what it's about. At least, like, it shouldn't be. The really good 3D animation is stuff that really, like, is able to utilize, I guess, kind of a more cascade effect with its stylization. And what I mean by that is, there's like there's a YouTuber called, like, Pixels with a Z, I think it is. And he does really good animations of, like, this little character, very much inspired by, like, early CG renderers on, like, PC and stuff, like the stuff you would see in, like, edutainment games and whatnot on the PC and everything. The rendering style has that kind of roughness to it, and it's all dictated in the rendering process, right? And so that's kind of what I mean by a sort of cascade effect. Is when you're doing art, there are sort of natural phenomena that you rely on, right? A good example, a really basic example, would be like the texture of canvas with oil paints, right? That has a natural phenomena that adds to the texture of the work, whether it's representative, whether it's representationalism, or impressionism, or whatever, right? That doesn't matter. Once you, like, learn how to work with that texture, that blends into the artistry, right? And that you can do that with 3D. In fact, it's incredibly versatile with, like, shaders and such. Like, when you're tweaking shaders, you'll begin to pull patterns out again, that kind of cascade through a work. And that's kind of what you're going for. And when you get really good at like harnessing those effects and actually understanding like what you're going for within the movement of those cascades, within noise filters and all that kind of stuff, that's when you get into the really cool stuff. But it's not so much what I really enjoy. I do want to do more with shaders because they're just so powerful and ultimately faster, right? I mean, think about how fast it is to apply a canvas texture to an oil painting. You already have, right? If you're painting on canvas, it's already done, right? That's kind of the idea. So there's these inherent qualities to certain mediums that one can really leverage. But the kind of unfortunate thing is that, especially in 3D, like, there's this kind of like perception that emulation is greater than source, and so you get a lot of things like 3D series and stuff that are trying to emulate, right? I watched a really good video that like broke down, like, it asked the question, why is 3D animation so afraid to be 3D animation? And he gave really good examples of places where it's a 3D movie or a show or a series or what have you that's trying to do something other than just be 3D, like really embracing the fact that it's 3D. And what you wind up getting with that is, you know, sometimes you can emulate really well, you know, you put in the effort. So you get, you know, something like Spider-Verse that does a really good job, right? But then other times there was like some crappy new Spider-Man series or whatever that came out that was like trying to emulate a comic book look, and it wound up looking like a goofy indie game kind of look. And he even pointed out like render issues that were cropping up because it's trying to do something it isn't. You know, it's not that again, that cascade effect, you're not actually working with it, you're working against it. So it's almost like watching a show or a piece of art that has an identity crisis. It's like 3D's going through a midlife crisis or something. It's not content to be itself. Or maybe it's awkward, moody teenage years or something. I don't know. It's not a phase. Well, see, that's the problem, right? It's not a phase because it's been industrialized. So it's actually kind of held back that medium for a long time, and now like that people have the tools just in their hands with like Blender and crap like that, it's like, oh hey, we can just do whatever. So I've seen some really cool. Like I said, like Pixels with a Z does some really cool stuff with 3D. Frickin' Worthy Kids does really cool things with blending both 3D and 2D. Who else? I know there's more. I'm trying to think of who else. Like really kind of like does something different with 3D specifically. I mean, there's ENA or whatever the name of that is. Does some interesting stuff. Friggin', I don't know if he's really like he's animated in a really bizarre way, but James Lee, like the way he does his stuff, like it's an emulation. It's not. It's sort of an emulation of animation, but it's not at the same time. It's very original in its stylization. It's very like it's more like harkening back to like really old school integration of animation and live action stuff, but blended to kind of like a next level kind of degree. So he's not really emulating anything aside from the fact that like, no, because he's not really emulating anything because he's the expression of his acting and stuff like that is meant to blend with the stylization. It's not necessarily trying to emulate anything. It's just how he blends it together. So it's super unique. Not really 3D as far as I'm aware. I feel like there's another one. I feel like there's another one I came across that just like is doing really cool things with 3D. I don't remember. We actually need this to be wider. I'm actually really tempted to grab. Oh, come on. Good old place and trace. Quickly becoming one of my favorite techniques, actually. No wonder everyone does this. It's very nice just to have a little bit of reference for yourself. So I can see. Yeah, I need to make it a little wider. We're just gonna like base it off of it. Ooh, I like the sound of this. Who's this? Should be able to just get away with kind of stretching it out a touch. Who is this? Hold on. Petriform, heliofluid. I think I have Petriform written down as well. No, I don't. That actually surprises me. I guess I'll write this down. I like this. I could have sworn maybe I'd heard them before, but I just didn't write them down. Heliofluid. I like this. Honestly, it's been super fun, like, just, like, writing down different artists that come up that I like. Even if I don't, like, go back to them for a long time, like, I don't know, it just kind of internalizes the information. So now I'm more more likely to remember them in the future. Technically, okay, while I'm here, might as well get the eyes right. Yeah, I mean, I haven't listened to half the list I have, again, since, you know, writing it down, but if ever I'm, like, bored, every now and again I'll look up some of them, or I'm just, like, in the mood for, like, something I know, like, I'll enjoy, or good chiptune. Okay, so turn that off then. There's a little bit of a hitch. I might need to adjust something. Or not. That looks alright. Okay, and we're basically just gonna go in the middle for that arm, but for now... I know I've heard that song before. I think I meant to write it down, but I never did. Maybe that was it. But, no, I have. Ooh. Oh, Kubi. I've heard this song before. So. Getting into some dubby territory. The other thing that makes it a little bit hard, and I've talked about this before, but longer work sessions are actually more efficient, at least for me, because let's say I work for an hour, and in that hour I get 1 frame done, right? If I work for 2 hours, I'll get like 2.5 frames done, right? If I work for 3 hours, then I'll probably get close to 5 frames done, right? And then, you know, if I work for 4 hours, that's probably a solid like 8 frames right there, right? So I'm able to like double myself up, maybe even more, right? Maybe more than 8 frames. This is another song I know I've listened to. Control Bizarre, Machine Is Me, my main LSDJ cover. Huh. Done in LSDJ. That reminds me, I really do need to put together a music stream, even if it's just me like noodling around. My sound, the one thing that's been really keeping me from like doing it is my soundboard really acts up. So like, I'm constantly having to like adjust the trim in order to get it to like fire back up on certain channels and whatnot. So that can be kind of annoying. And I'd rather have that cleaned up a little bit more before but at the same time, like, I'm just screwing around and I'm just screwing around. Kind of. It would actually be my main music setup. Although I could hook up the Game Boy and like have that as a beat machine. But it would be the Game Boy is mostly controller. It does, like, LSDJ does control like noise generation and all that, but I could also just use it as a MIDI controller, so I could program in like some rhythms and whatnot as backing tracks, like a bass line or something like that. And then I don't have to play it. I can just have it play itself. That's good enough. I need to like make the little like leg hole things probably a little bit bigger, because like getting them really like precise like this is another thing that takes up a lot of time. So I mean, that's a big thing that this animation is teaching me, is it's like it's showing me, okay, where does this design like really like slow you down, right? I like the leg holes, they're important to the look and feel of the character, but I probably don't need to have them be that much of a hassle for myself. Okay, that will be about right. And we're gonna have him subtly turn his leg. Ooh, this is another one I've listened to. But that doesn't remember. I do need to do more just tracking, just Game Boy tracking. This is fun. Oh yeah, DDR Kirby. Good stuff. All right. In theory. I want this to go right in the middle. I'm actually not sure what the motion is going to be. I actually let me double check the motion. I may want to bias it a touch because it drops. It actually holds for a little bit and then he reels up. So yeah, since that's the case, it is a pause. So I want this to actually ease into it. Not that much. I might change up the previous frame. I'm gonna change up the previous frame slightly. Just to have it a little bit more exaggerated. Even more, actually. That's better. Okay. Which means that this probably will need to go up higher. I'm beginning to realize maybe like one thing that I kind of like don't do enough of is like overshoots. I wonder if, you know what? Let's just see what it looks like. Because the key behind overshoots is like they give just that little hint of settling. Yeah, basically the best way of looking at like an overshoot is, you know, when you like punch or something like that, or you kick, your hand goes forward, right? Let me see if I can do it. Like, hand goes forward, right? And then it'll extend slightly and then settle back, right? That's an overshoot. That's all it is, right? It's momentum, right? It's the canceling of momentum. And maybe this isn't the time to use overshoot, or maybe it requires a very subtle overshoot. Draw the overshoot. Honestly, like moving frames around like that isn't ideal because like you didn't draw that with that spacing in mind, and so the movement is now like scuffed. so it's not ideal. You actually you want to more often than not redraw. There's actually a an animator. I think it's Spencer Wong. He worked on Castlevania animated series, and I think it was him. I could be wrong. It might not be him, but whoever the guy is, his method of working was everything on threes, right? No matter what. And again, threes are, you look at the timeline, 1, 2, 3, that would be a new frame. 1, 2, 3, that would be a new frame. All still at 24 frames per second. Because working at anything else is just stupid. But it's a 4D physical mechanism you're expressing in 2D animation. Well, animation is inherently fourth dimensional if you count time, which isn't a spatial dimension, but it's, you know, subdimension, or not even a subdimension, it's a auxiliary dimension, I guess you could call it. So yes, overshoot is a fourth dimensional concept alongside pretty much everything in this animation. Because it's altering the physical form and shape. Anyway, so his method is working on threes, right? And instead of changing the timing within the timeline, I don't know if he works straight ahead purely, which would be kind of crazy, but it would be really natural. But if he could do that, like, he's got to do some keying, I imagine. Either that or he's just a freaking wizard, like a stop motion animator. But basically, his method would be he would draw it out, and instead of playing with the timeline, the timing in the timeline, which is pretty typical, right? Especially digitally. He would redraw if the frame was wrong, the frame was wrong, right? Because it is on thirds, it's going to be, or it's on threes, it's going to be on threes. If it looks wrong, it's because the drawing's wrong, right? So he would redraw it, and it gave a very like natural look. It's why I'm actually kind of inclined to believe that he is working like a stop motion animator, because the benefit behind stop motion, amongst other things, you know, like I was talking about that cascade effect that artistry has. There's a lot that gets into stop motion that has that. But one of the things that stop motion is really good about is because you have to work straight ahead, it's incredibly natural. The difficulty of stop motion is the fact that everything being straight ahead, you have to hold the movement in your head. You have to understand where you're moving to and understand where you're going to hit and where you're going to land. And reference can really help with that, as well as drawing out the frame first, right? Kind of the sequence. Storyboarding like a Leica reel really helps to get a sense of the timing. So at the very least, like, because I know that Castlevania was boarded extensively. In fact, like, that's kind of an interesting thing with that series, and a lot of series that are done nowadays, is you have a quote-unquote storyboarder, but really they're a rough animator, and rough to the point of not doing tie down most of the time. Sometimes they'll do tie down, but most of the time it's not tie down. It's just the rough animation, and then tie down's handled by the actual rough animator, usually overseas. And so it's kind of an interesting workflow. It's cheaper, you know. It's cheaper to hire a really rough animator to act as a storyboard artist versus you know, hiring them to animate all out. but it's, you know, it's kind of why there's not a lot of animation rules, like proper like animation rules here in the States. There are some. I know some people, like usually you have specialized people come in to do sequences and stuff like that. I know that they did that with the new NBA, not NBA Jam, friggin', what's it called? The card Slam Jam. What's it called? Is it? It's not called NBA Jam, right? NBA Jam isn't NBA Jam the game. It's like the game that it's like 2-on-2 or whatever. That's NBA Jam, isn't it? What am I? It's like super famous. What the heck? Is it NBA Jam? Nah. Okay, hold on. I gotta look it up. NBA Jam is the game, right? Yeah, NBA Jam is the game. Friggin', what am I thinking of? What's the name of it? No. It's not a game. It's the movie. Like the half anime movie. Why can't I remember the name of it? What the heck? Boom shakalaka. I like. What the heck? What is it? I am blanking on the name of that movie. Space Jam. It's Space Jam. That's it. Space Jam. Good grief. I knew it had something to do with like planets or something. Space Jam. That's it. The new Space Jam, Space Jam 2. They brought in people to work on scenes for that and sequences and everything like that. I actually, because that was, of course, that was Warner Brothers. But I don't know, because they also recently did a new Looney Tunes movie, The Day the Earth Blew Up, and it obviously was animated. But I don't know how. And there's been like newer Looney Tunes as well. I know those were boarded in America. I think they were animated as well in the States. I don't know though. I think so. I don't know how much outsourcing was done on those. I'd be curious about that. Beat you to it. Yeah, it friggin' took me forever. Friggin' Space Jam. Okay, I'm gonna check that movement before I... So that was actually a good example of overshoot. When his hands snap up, there's a little bit of overshoot, right? Because he's moving them so quickly. Honestly, I don't know if that's a good place for overshoot because... I probably overthought that motion. Honestly, like, there's little things about this sequence that, like, could be better. Came to you right before I said it? Yeah, I mean, guess we're in sync. I mean, what's the next frame look like? Hold on. Oh boy, back out of the clutch. That sort of reminded me of a sequence. That sequence in the song reminded me of New Junk City from Earthworm Jim 1. Okay, so we do have like a saddle. It could work. You know, I'm gonna just go for it. And just like, yeah, screw it. But if I'm gonna do that, I need the right. Yeah, pretty much. The only thing that was going through my head was the friggin' theme song, and I'm just like, do they say the name of this song? I don't think they do. They just say Slam Jam, I think. I don't know. So it's got a bop. That was a pretty good one. That was Bomb Boy by Back Alley Clash. Or rather, Back Alley Clash by Bomb Boy. Once again, this is Chiptune FM, by the way, if you want to check it out. They do 24/7 Chiptune streams. We used to listen to Krella's, but he went offline, sadly. Honestly, I don't even know if I can... I think Krella's is still around. Yeah, Krella's is still around, but the live stream went offline. So. Speaking of France circuits, I need to order some parts for my headphones. And hopefully not fry them. That would freaking suck. But it should be a pretty easy operation, all things considered. It's just a couple of wires for some microphones. So that they stop screaming in my ears whenever I turn on active noise canceling. Because Sony can freaking jump off a cliff for all I care. I'm just glad there's finally a replacement microphone on the market. Heck yeah, I'm repairing them instead of buying a new pair. These were expensive. I could only afford them once. Must be a really comfortable pair. It's expensive pair. Be comfortable to my wallet. As you can imagine, I'm a huge advocate for right to repair. Because doggone it, friggin' hate that crap has become so hostile to repair that it all just ends up in a friggin' landfill. Because guess what? When you take it to a repair shop, they don't repair it. They just transfer all your data into another device and say, here you go. Good as new, because it probably kind of is. I honestly probably should push this arm back a bit. Let's see what I can do. That's a bit better. I mean, look into, I mean, depending on the kind of headphones they are, you should look into getting earmuff or ear cup replacements. Like, if they're still good headphones, they're still good headphones. Like, for example, these, the headphones are also giving out, so I'm gonna buy, you know, a pair of them for like $30, and boom, I've got new earphones. So unless the actual like earpiece, like the actual like speaker is going bad, and even then you might be able to repair that. But there does come a point where that's not worth it. But if it's just the earphones, then that's replaceable. Then again, depending on how long you've had them, maybe it's time for an upgrade. I want these headphones to last a good long time, though. I'm usually pretty good at having my stuff last. I have a pair of Turtle Beach headphones that I grew up with. I bought them back in 2011. Those headphones are 14 years old. And they still work. I used them for like 10 years. Right around. Nearly 10 years I used those headphones. And they're Turtle Beach, right? Apparently Turtle Beach made crap headphones now, but back in the day, man, they actually kind of meant something. Had them for almost 4 years. 4 years isn't that long. $70 is a good kind of like mid price, honestly. You can get some good stuff for $70. I decided to splurge on these. These were quite a bit, so I was like. And then within a year, they start shrieking in my ears. Yeah, there's a Turtle Beach as well. Like, back in the day, like... I mean, I don't know about the newer ones, but according to you, they're still lasting, so... I don't know. Maybe... I honestly think that, like, people are their own worst enemy when it comes to, like, their stuff lasting. Because, geez, the way people treat their, like, equipment, their phones, and their, like, electronics and stuff, it's just, like... Good grief. No wonder you have to replace stuff every year. I don't know, I was taught growing up that things were expensive. And hey, what do you know? They were right. I learned to be careful with my stuff. Hey, this is Rimcraft. Rimstad. Rimstad. Hey, I know this. It's so funny to think that I, like, for the longest time was, like, kind of stuck in the Swedish kind of bit pop scene. It's a lot of what I found. Today's word of the day is Rymdkraft. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong because it's friggin' Swedish. I don't know how to speak Swedish, but it means spacecraft or spaceship. Okay, that's good enough. I do need to do this now. This is kind of old Runecraft, although like friggin' everything Runecraft now is kind of old. It's kind of crazy. I think he did put something out recently. Let me look. But I remember when his last album came out, like 10 years ago. Okay, 7 years ago. Oh wait, but I do remember when, Space Force, his EP Space Force came out. Yeah, that came out 9 years, good grief. Yeah, it's 2016. I remember when that first came out, and then the other Bloop Troopers came out 2 years later. It's crazy to think. Maybe even just 1 year. And then since then, he did put something out called Limoncello about 10 months ago, so last year. Rinsilt came out 4 years ago, at least as a single. So, seems like he still does stuff, which I'm glad. Because he does the good blips and bloops. Okay. Rimcraft. I'll spell it, because I'm sure that helps. Craft. Rimcraft. Did that go through? Oh, that went through on over there. There we go. Now it's on both. But yeah, Runecraft, Dunte Patrullen, Phantomenke, Meganico or Meganico, whatever, however you friggin' pronounce it. Boss Fight back when they did chiptune. They kind of went dubby. They went to like dubstep. And some of their stuff's cool. Knock 'Em Out is a neat song. I actually do like that. I do like that. I trusted my instincts. I was one with the plan. It came out all right. Yeah, I actually do like that kind of like jolt because he's putting his foot down like that. Yeah, no, it's good. All right. 1, 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the breakdown frame, and this is a proper breakdown frame here. Yeah, it's Swedish. What do you expect? But yeah, no, all this goes. Friggin' Phantomenke has some really cool stuff, and he hasn't done anything in like how long has it been? Like 10 years now, I think. Phantomenke. But it's like it's crazy because like a lot of 9 years ago was a collab between him and Meganico. It's crazy how many views he used to get on some of his work. He's like, it's so funny going back to all these like really old bands and whatnot, and it's just like it's all old YouTube, you know. At this point, it's like not like ancient YouTube, right? Like I consider like pre-2010 to be like ancient YouTube at this point, right? 2000 video from 2008. It's like, okay, that's getting back there, right? That's almost 20 years old. This is like old YouTube. This is like 2010, 2011 kind of stuff. It's kind of funny having grown up around that time and just like how like untapped it all was. 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 frames. So 1, 2, 3. That should be our in-between frame, and that is pretty much exactly the frame that we want to be working with. Okay, so now the tricky part here, I might, because he turns his head so much, but I want to bias it towards this, so he's actually gonna have his head turned this way, like pretty much out the gate. So I'm actually gonna, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna actually set my Yeah, that'll do. Actually, I need to flatten it because I want to know. I'm gonna just throw it in there. Okay. Well, you know what? Hold on. Let's. Oh, come on. Put it in here. Yeah, we can do this. It's just really helpful to have a guide for the face hole. And we're actually gonna just like trace this. We're just gonna go straight up. We want it to be the same shape, pretty much. He's not gonna be closing his eyes yet. That comes a little bit later. Let's see frames. Hello, Nuke. You want to know something funny? You know how when we were watching those clips from like Thunderbirds Are Go and like Stinger and stuff like that, I got to thinking it would actually be really fun to like sample some of those older shows and put it in music and whatnot. Because I'm not gonna lie, the line "prepare for action" goes pretty dang hard. So might mess with that. Honestly, I just need to get back into composing in general. Like, I don't do a lot of composing. I suppose it's because music, in general, for me is, like, meant to be, like, whatever, you know? Yeah, anything can happen in the next half hour. That's like prime stuff for sampling. I will say, those old shows knew how to get your attention, that's for sure. Honestly, if anyone hasn't checked out Thunderbirds Are Go and has like no idea what we're talking about, do yourself a favor. Go check it out. It's awesome. It's puppets. How can you not enjoy it? It has puppets. Although I will say, I do know someone who has a distinct fear, like an actual phobia of puppets. So if you're like that, you really might not enjoy it. Honestly, I really wonder. Because there was a like a puppet like horror game that came out called, I think it was called like My Friendly Neighborhood or something like that. Actually, it looked like a pretty good game. I seriously wonder how someone who has a severe phobia of puppets would do playing a game like that. Should look at Power Themes 90. What is this? Oh, UFO. Oh, is it like an album based off of or no, is it an album of? Yeah, it looks like it's all like the music from like Thunderbirds Are Go, UFO. The Prisoner. Joe 90. I've not heard of Joe 90. Captain Scarlet. I'll have to check that out. It's in the Sting remix. Ooh. You wanna? All right, we're gonna take a quick break to listen to this because I'm curious. Let's really test the test the waters of YouTube here. There it goes.
Power to power plant. Commence battle stations procedure.
Let's see if we get DMCA'd, baby.
Well, what are you waiting for? You're right. What am I waiting for?
Stingray crew standing by for launch, Commander.
Okay, sound launch station.
Yes, sir.
Daggone, that reminds me. Maybe it's not a good thing that that's you quoting that line is what reminds me that I need to watch that show, but I need to watch that show. I've been recommended it twice, and I haven't checked it out yet. Dude, this is like giving me like this is actually kind of sick. This is giving me like Art of Noise vibes or something, you know? Gosh, I wish I could listen to Art of Noise. Yo, this slaps. Not getting any kind of warning yet. I think we're doing just fine.
Well, I guess that ruined that little plan. Yep.
Marineville calling Stingray.
So I was completely right. This is like prime sample material right here.
If we wanted music, we could have it.
Actually, that reminds me. I actually have a I've talked about it before, but I really need to like bust it out. It's a speak and math. It's what's called a speak and math. It's like a speak and spell, but it's for math. And I want to like sample it live and like turn it on and like be playing over it and like be hitting the buttons and stuff like that. So I'll probably mess with that when I do a music stream. Had Duran Duran's Invisible stuck in your head for 2 days. It is a catchy song, I'm not gonna lie. Duran Duran's got some catchy stuff. I still find it so funny that Metal Gear Solid 5 has The Man Who Sold the World by Ultravox in it. The cover done by Ultravox. Who the heck knows who Ultravox is? Nobody knows who Ultravox is. But I do. I grew up with that stuff. So if anything good came out of Metal Gear Solid 5, which by all accounts that I can tell wasn't very much, it's that more people know who Ultravox is now, hopefully. Although, of course, they probably Google Man Who Sold the World and just see that it was made by David Bowie and then stop caring. Okay, that was awesome. I'll have to check out the rest of the that album, honestly. I'm actually going to switch gears to listen to some Electric Children because I need some energy. Okay, that's good to know they're guilty. Because doggone, man. Sometimes anime can really catch you off guard. It's a very silly show. I don't know. I guess I'll find out if I like it. I'm not a big like tournament art guy, you know. It's different because it's boxing, you know, because so like that makes sense, right? So it's not like, hey, we're having a great adventure. Oh boy, get prepared to like sit around for the next like 2 seasons as we go through this freaking tournament arc. Dude, every single time I tune in on Toonami and I see the Yu Yu Hakusho's on, which I've never watched because I don't really care. But every time I see it and I flip over to it, they are always in the middle of a doggone tournament. It is one long tournament arc. You cannot tell me otherwise. It is a massive tournament arc and nothing else. Every stinking time. Doesn't matter. I go like 2 months without watching it. Next time I see it, I tune into it for like 5 seconds. Oh, it's a tournament. Next match. It's so boring. Honestly, the only like tournaments I enjoy were like the ones in Dragon Ball, like the original Dragon Ball. Because like they would kind of go on, but not like too terribly long. These are the ones that I've seen. And then it was back to like adventure and fun. So it was like a nice balance, you know? Yeah, for real. Like, it's like, that is like the whole show. Those 2 arcs. And they both look the same. Okay, yeah, that's the head done. So now we can turn this off. Part of me wants to kind of turn the head a little sideways, but at the same time, like, no, that's good. It has a little bit of a lilt, I think. Well, let's give it a little bit more if it does have any. But yeah. Now, if you make a series that doesn't have a tournament arc, that's like automatically like way better in my book. Automatically. Doesn't matter what it is. Could be a totally dog snot series, but it doesn't have a tournament arc. I'd probably rather watch it. Maybe, I don't know. There's some really bad stuff out there. There's more Spirit Detective, less fighting. Yeah, like that, because that sounds fun, right? Like the whole Spirit Detective side of it. It's like, oh, okay, you know, that's cool. Alright, there we go. Like you have a fun premise like that, right? It's like, oh, that's cool. And then you throw a tournament arc in there. It's just like, why? Why would you do that? Who cares? I don't care who could beat the other guy up the most. It's not interesting. They don't even like fight half the time. They just talk and like monologue and crap and tell their life story. And I'm just like, I don't care who you are. How did we get here? I need to actually figure out. Honestly, even though it didn't have any like tournament arcs that I'm aware of, for all I know, it had one eventually. But despite that, it still felt like a tournament arc. Whenever it would go into like a fight or whatever, it was freaking Demon Slayer. I finally gave up on like third season. I should have given up earlier because of my word, but no. Was this second season that I gave up on? I don't know. It just got boring. It was so boring. Future Boy Conan, yeah. Good adventure story, heck yeah. But like I was so like it was disappointing too because it's like it starts off with like a neat premise. It's like, oh, there are demons, right? Like, oh, I kind of sound like Alex Jones. There are demons, but yeah, there's like demons in this world or whatever, right? And it's not really known. Like that's not really a known thing. They kind of lurk in the shadow, kind of stuff, right? Okay, cool. That's a good, start to a premise. And now this kid is in way over his head, has no clue like what he's doing, right? And he's got to like try to figure out how to save his sister, right? Okay. Good start, right? That's actually a pretty good start. Not gonna lie, pretty good. It's like, okay, where is this gonna go? Like, what's he gonna do? Like he's got to like figure this out. He's got to figure out like he doesn't even know how to kill these things, right? And he meets an old man who like starts telling him things, right? It's like, okay, he's gonna get a little bit of information and have to like kind of grow as the series goes on and stuff like that. One episode. It was one episode that he like became a demon slayer, and it's like, oh, I know how to kill these things now. I get a super special sword and cut rocks in half now. It's like, why not? Dies in a car accident in the very first episode. And it's like, but like all that suspense is just gone. They literally put his sister in a box to get her out of the way. It's like, oh, this is inconvenient. Okay, into the box you go. It's like, cool. You're not telling your story. It's all crap now. It sucks. It was just like, oh man, I was so bored. It's just like, and then it turns out there's a whole like institution where it's just like, oh yeah, we just hunt demons. I'll take any moment I can to rag on that series, that's for sure. That, and I haven't watched a whole lot of Future Boy Conan. I want to. I need to sit down and just check that series out. It can be kind of hard to find. It's unfortunate. And what's his hand? Okay. Oh, you were still on you. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, he gets like semi-isekai'd, doesn't he? It is really funny to me that like every isekai anime just starts with a truck. Like That to me is just hilarious. That it's like, you guys literally, you're not making any bones about it. You just literally are like copy paste. Like, who does that? And it's just like, okay. It's like, oh yeah, that's just gonna happen. And it's like so specific. It's specifically a K truck. It's not just like a sedan, right? It's not like a street racer or something interesting like that. No, it's always a K truck. Every single time. Funny enough, I've actually seen K trucks running around my local town. It's always fun. I'm like, oh, I know what you are. I will get that to Yu Yu Hakusho. At least he gets hit by a car. Pretty sure it's just like a normal like sedan or something. Really switching things up. Then again, it did come out like before the absolute just incessant amount of isekai stuff. I'm trying to think. I think I've only watched one isekai, like one proper like got hit by a truck isekai anime in my life. It was alright. It was kind of fun. That's a little bit of a weird arm, honestly. What? So I can... Oh man, this frame is gonna be awkward. Then again, come to think of it, the only proper... No, that's not true. I was gonna say the only proper shonen I've watched is Naruto, but that's not true. It's the only proper shonen that I've technically finished, I guess. But I don't know. Does that count? Well, I did. I also technically watched all of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is technically shonen, but it doesn't feel like shonen. I don't know. Yeah. Technical Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is shonen, kinda. It's not really, but it kind of is. Technically, it was in Shonen Jump, so I think. Could be wrong. I mean, Full Metal Alchemist was anyway. Them's just fingers. Just kind of pretend like that's how you draw fingers. Well, it's better than a lot of shonen because one, doesn't have a tournament arc, and two, like actually has a cohesive story, which is a lot harder to do in a manga than not, because and truth be told, it's not even necessarily like the mangaka's fault a lot of times. A lot of it comes down to, I learned this with Toriyama as well, but with Kishimoto of Naruto. He got so slammed by the editors of the comic and stuff like that, to like do such stupid crap that it's like under those constraints, the dude actually did pretty dang well, honestly. I mean, it's still full of really stupid stuff, and doggone, like sometimes he has a hard time writing characters, but at the same time, he had some really good moments and kind of creative stuff, and it's kind of fun. It's like I still found it insufferable at the end, but like I get it. Kept on having to remind myself, I'm not 14 and into this stuff when I was 14. That's kind of what it comes down to. When the name of your genre is also your demographic, it might be telling when you aren't in that demographic. Just why you aren't enjoying yourself. It's like, yes. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna need to turn that off. Gonna head out the guilty? Alright, catch you later, man. Have yourself a good one. Time is it? It's 9:20. Jeez. Alright, we're gonna make this the last frame that we do. I've been going for... Jeez, I'll be having gone for 3 hours here. Soon enough, so by the time I finish stream for sure. Well, I don't know, maybe not for sure. Honestly, I probably really shouldn't be sitting for this long. I can't help it. I got so much to do. But hey, we got 3 of those hours down. I'm gonna really try to get a lot done on this on Monday if I can help it. See, I'll be a little bit busy. Vinyl on Amazon. That's kind of neat. I don't buy like. Actually, when did that come out? Hold on. I don't think it's 90. Oh yeah, there's a CD and vinyl. Fab by Fab. So it came out in 1990. Okay. So, man, that would have been like right at the tail end of vinyl. Because the thing about me is like I don't really buy like new music on vinyl. The closest I've gotten was when I saw Arctic Monkeys AM on vinyl, and it was like $20 at a record store, or not a record store. It was actually like friggin' Guitar Center or something. But I was like, do I buy it on vinyl? And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna buy it on vinyl because it didn't, like, yeah, it was put out on vinyl and crap like that, but like, I buy music of the era on vinyl when I want it, but not new music. I was like, I'll buy the CD. Everything's mixed to 44.1 kilohertz anyway. It's all mixed to digital anyway. All right. I'm actually going to as well. This. I don't know, 1990? What is the latest record that I own? I'm trying to think. I own Broadsword and the Beast, that's 1981. In the Dead of Night is 81 as or 79 actually. Danger Money is 81. Klaatu is 70s. Yes, the Yes albums I have are 70s. Jethro Tull's A album is 80s, I want to say. What do I have? I have Beat, Three of a Perfect Pair, and Discipline by King Crimson. Those are... Actually, let me look those up. Three of a Perfect Pair was their last album, I'm pretty sure. That came out in 1984. I have... That might be one of my latest records. I have a collection of classical guitar. I don't know when that was made. Living in the Past by Jethro Tull is... Crap. Let me look that one up. That one's old, though. That was 1969. Yeah, and it's full of like their live performances and junk or whatever. What What else? That. I mean, he is really thin up top. He is skinny boy, but I might actually. See, what other albums do I have? I have the soundtrack to Flash Gordon on vinyl, so that was probably released in like '81. I love that album. That is a sick album. I wish I could listen to like some of my vinyls on stream, because I've done that before. It's super fun, but like you can't do it on YouTube. I might be able to get away with like Jethro Tull, maybe. I kind of doubt it, but I think they're a little bit more relaxed. Crystal Records, or Chrysalis rather. Actually, I don't know who owns Chrysalis. But if it's like Columbia or Warner Brothers Records, man, Warner Brothers is like friggin' savage. They will like... If it's under Sony or Warner, forget it. They will block your stream. What other albums do I have? I have some Tamita, but that's all like 70s. Most of my records come from the 70s. I mean, truth be told, that's kind of how it goes. I mean, CDs came out like, what, like 80? When did a CD get, like 86 or something like that? When were CDs? 1979 was when they were invented. So technically since 1982 is when they were standardized for the Japanese market next to Laserdisc. I think America got them a few years later. Yeah, I don't think people realize how old CDs are. CDs have been around since the 80s. Heck, technically, like, disk storage media has been around since, like, freaking 50s? that when they started using like magnetic disk storage? So the concept of disk storage has been around forever. Maybe even older. It might even be like 40s. I'm trying to think. Yeah, that was when they were using mostly like punch card stuff. I mean, they were using punch cards in the 50s, but like, and then tape reels eventually. But I want to say 50s is when they came up with like disk storage. Because it was either disk or tape. That was kind of the two primary formats. Solid state memory, very expensive. Started to become more less expensive with the invention of the transistor. In fact, that ushered into the computer age, basically. But I may need to actually bring this out. I actually am going to do that. It's really important that I get the breakdown right. Let's see. And let's just... Alright. Okay. Back to... Chrono Wolf. Let's see. But yeah, no, disk storage. Been around a long time. I'm actually going to redo this hand as well, because why not? This is how animating goes. Especially when you work rough. I mean, technically I work clean, but I'm also working kind of rough. I'm somewhere in between. Yeah, we'll do that. I think that works. Yeah, we'll go with that. And then bring this up. Something like that. The hand is a little too small. South. Okay. Hey, what's up, Woods? Yeah, it has. Good to see you stopping by. It may be a little towards the end here, but I'm glad you did regardless. Truth be told, I haven't been streaming a whole lot lately. I've been getting back into this last couple of weeks, but I was out of it for about a month. I'm still kind of tentatively back. So I am still a little bit in recovery mode. Actually, very much in recovery mode, but I did miss streaming. Hope all's been well with you. Yeah. Oh, that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that, Woods. That's always a little scary. I'm glad to hear that your grandma's doing better. Okay. So... Okay, and that's technically a breakdown frame. Actually, I need to as well do. I'm just gonna give a little more meat on his bones. He's a skinny boy, but he ain't that skinny. Oh, and then of course. Honestly, that makes more sense. Okay, let's take a look at it. Where are we at? How's that breakdown looking? I like that. I actually really like that. I need to add his eye rings to that frame. His eye rings really do kind of bring his face together. They kind of soften up his face and make him look a little more charming. The walk, the eyes are a little scuffed still, but I'm okay with it. That's what it is, kind of thing. But yeah, no, it's coming along. So, let me zoom out here. I still have to do the wing as well. The nice thing is that his wing is like pretty much just tucked against him. The only little movement there is at the beginning. I really do like how that little jolt at the end came out. It gives like a nice little bit of energy and stops him for the transition to the next step. Because truth be told, you don't necessarily want everything to be like super smooth, especially when like his whole thing is he has like those awkward hooves, right? So like he has this kind of lurchiness to him that I want to get across. Almost like a puppet, right? So I've how I described his movement a number of times. His legs do get a little skinny. It's kind of funny. They're a little thicker there, but that's all right. A lot of this is like practicing his model. He figuring out his shapes and such. I had to figure out like the hooves a bit. But I do like how it turned out. And I've really figured out his arms as well. I've gotten a lot better at drawing his arms since I started this. Because I don't really have the shape language that they do in the later frames. But that's all right. Again, I was always going to get better at his model as time went on. So, yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with this. I'm happy with like some of the little second overlapping action that's happening on his little like cape flap hood cowl thing. I like the little jump, like how that turned out. It was fun figuring out that timing of the little jump there, because having him hang in the air gives it that like. What I was thinking in my head was like a cat, when a cat like gets spooked by like a cucumber or whatever, and there's just that moment where they hang in the air, you know. It's stuff like that. It's those little subtle movements that like tell so much of the story. That's where animation really shines. It's so much fun. But yeah, so that's another 3 frames down. That's all we have time for tonight. But they were some good frames. They were the transition here, and then this key here. And so let me throw the eye rings on. It was kind of funny looking at this model and comparing it to this one. There is a little bit of a difference. And I was like actually animating him like way faster. Like I was being way sloppier over here, which I probably should have kept up. This is when I started getting really meticulous. And I've kept that up. My favorite part of animating? My favorite part of animating probably would be like when I've got like a sense of the motion and like it's really coming together and like it's really beginning to feel like the character's coming alive. That's super fun, right? My least favorite part of animating is probably like starting out, because there's a little bit of touch and go with like, it's the same thing with like painting, right? You're laying down your paint, you're laying down your layers, you're trying to kind of build something up, and it's super like ambiguous, and like you're trying to get form out of it, and sometimes you get something but it's just off, you know. And so it's really easy to spiral at that moment into like kind of chasing your own tail with your own work, and you're like trying to correct it and trying to chase it. And sometimes it's better to just like wipe it clean and just start over, right? I find that I usually wind up having to like start a sequence over in animation at least once on average. The first time I do it, it doesn't quite come out. The second time I do it is when it starts to really come together. Yeah, that's probably my least favorite part. Is just that like uncertain, kind of like it's kind of an anxious time when you're animating. But when you get into the flow of things, it's super satisfying, super fun. You get to wake up and be like, yo, I know what to do today, right? I know exactly what to do today. That's what was really fun about, I guess I can play this in the background. That's what was really fun about working on my last short film, was like, I really got over that sort of anxious, like that moment of anxiousness with starting animation really quickly. Like in the first like day, pretty much, I figured out a workflow. And then the music's being funny. And then like every day it was just like routine. It was fantastic. And then into cleanup, you know, because cleanup is kind of nice because it's like you already know what you need to do, right? It's like the motion's figured out. You just got to make it look good. It's a lot of work, but it's just tedious more than anything. So it's kind of relaxing. Do I record myself doing motions? I probably should. It depends. I mostly keep it in my head though. Like, I don't know if I'm just kind of like lulling myself into a false sense of like ability, but you know, I'm one of those people who can like rotate an apple in their head kind of thing. And so I just kind of feel the motion out in my head, and then I put it down. I will say with more complex animation, and less like, because you see people act out every single day, right? Like when I'm watching someone like speak, it's kind of a problem. I wind up like just watching how they move versus actually listening to what they're saying sometimes. And so I just kind of think back, like, okay, how does someone approach something, right? Like I said, with this like little jump at the beginning, I was thinking about cat, like how long does a cat hang in the air? What does that feel like, you know? And then I kind of just come up with a plan to like structure that. But for really complex action, there's some motion that's it's just better to reference, like crazy acrobatic flips, that sort of thing. A lot of like fight stuff, choreography and whatnot. It's really good to reference, just because having like playing that stuff out in your head, you can do it, but there's so many little nuances within like a specifically a really solid fight scene. Sakuga style stuff, like the really crazy, like over the top animation stuff, it's still good a reference, but like you can get away with more, right? It's kind of like the same thing within music when you're like shredding on the guitar, doing like really fast stuff. Like that's actually technically easier. It's like technique wise, it's challenging, but once you get the technique down, you can basically just do whatever you want, right? Versus actually like a more like technically demanding piece that's like really demanding you pay attention to your rests and your timing and your and all that kind of stuff, right? That's kind of the way I look at like Sakuga style animation. Once you get the technique down, you can basically do whatever you want with it. You can just go crazy essentially, and it's really exciting and fun. But that's not really what draws me to animation. I like the more subtle stuff. But when it comes to body language, like for the most part, I can more or less like figure it out. But yeah, the more like complex stuff, certain emotions are really hard to capture, like characters crying and stuff like that. There's a lot of nuance in stuff like that. Anything that really like breaks up the timing a lot, like you have sudden shifts in your timing and your spacing, and so a character crying, there's a lot of like sudden movement within that, depending on like what's happening and whatnot. With this, he's more or less just like moving from one position to the next. It's a really simple motion. So the short answer is it depends. In this instance, I didn't act this out. All right. Let's see. I am gonna wrap it up though. It's 10 o'clock. Oh boy. I will be back on Monday though. I'm gonna try to do a bit of a longer stream. It depends though. I do have an appointment, so I'm probably not gonna be available until like 3 at the latest, and then I'm gonna be tired. It kind of sucks, but it is what it is. And that's unfortunately that's gonna be, well, that's actually not gonna be next week. The following week rather. Game over. Game over, man. But yeah, I will be back on Monday. I'm gonna be streaming. I'm hopefully gonna be doing a longer stream. I'm gonna have to like remember to get up more though. Like sitting for 3 hours, I should have done that. That being said, definitely back Monday. What else? Probably gonna be working on this. Although I do really want to get work done on the comic. I'm gonna dedicate some time to the comic, even if it's just a couple hours. Because doggone have I been sitting on that next part of the chapter for a long time. Happy early 4th of July. Yeah, happy 4th of July to all the Americans. But yeah, I really appreciate you stopping by with us, that's for sure. As well as you, Nuke, and everyone else, Guilty and Trippy, for the comments and the love. It really does make these streams a lot of fun. So yeah, hoping to see you back. And yeah, take care, everyone. Have a good one. Have a good night. Have a good day. Have a good whatever. And I'll catch you all later.